Over this Easter bank holiday weekend, we learned of the sad passing of former Celtic captain and manager Billy McNeill. Colourful character, a defender's defender, and the first British captain to lift what is now the Champions League, which was then the European Championship Cup. You know, that big thing they lifted in, May? Yeah, he was the first British captain and first British player to get his hands on it in 1967 with the Lisbon Lions. Let's have a look at his playing career. Let's have a look at his managerial career. And, he's not a bad manager. He was actually a pretty good manager at the time he managed. And as a player, well, you've got to look how many games he managed to play as a professional. That is a staggering amount of games that he played over an 18-year career. So he's born in 2nd of March 1914. Of course, he sadly passed away on Easter Monday, which was yesterday as I'm recording this video. But his playing career professionally starts in 1957. He's scouted by Celtic. Basically, as a schoolboy. He's playing for Scotland schoolboys, and he's snapped up, and he's signed to a contract for £250. Yeah, back then in 1957, that was a lot of money, but in real terms, that's nothing compared to what some players are paid now per week. Yeah. He played between 57 and 75, and he played a staggering amount of games. He played 789 club games. He also played 29 internationals for Scotland. He scored 40 goals in his career, so he's a defender's defender. He plays at a time when defenders do not score a lot of goals. Their job is to tackle, man mark, and be physical with the opposition forwards and bully them a little bit. Back in the 50s, 60s and 70s, towards the end of his career, defenders scored more goals, but when he first started playing, most defenders were there to do the defending. That means putting the ball into row Z, and that means taking out players like Pele, for example, the skilled players on the opposition side. That basically means your job is to flatten him. This is when men were men and could tackle, and diving was not tolerated. Diving wasn't a thing. Broken legs were commonplace. The boots they were using were industrial. The balls were heavy, and the pitches were bogs. This is when men were men. Men were men at this time. His playing honours, he's won a lot of trophies. Bearing in mind, he played his entire career with Celtic. And at the beginning of his career with Celtic, the side weren't very good. They were going through a very lean patch. They weren't winning a lot of trophies. Rangers were dominant. As a player with Celtic, he won the Scottish League 9 times as a player. The Scottish Cup, he won 7 times as a player. The Scottish League Cup, he won 6 times as a player. And of course, the ultimate trophy that Celtic won in this period is the European Cup, which is now the Champions League. He was the first British captain to lift the trophy above his head. Other captains would follow down in the years following, but he was the first British player and British captain to get his hands on what is now the Champions League, which was then the European Cup. He was the captain of the Lisbon Lions of 1967. So 10 years after he started playing, he is the captain of that side that defeated Inter Milan in Lisbon 2-1. Hence why they're called the Lisbon Lions. Every single one of those players was born within a 20-mile radius of the stadium, Celtic Park, Parkhead. Yeah, they were all born within 20-mile radius of Glasgow. So they were a bunch of local lads, both Protestant and Catholic, and of course sectarianism is a big issue with Scottish football. So this is a big deal when they win this tournament. He was also the Scottish Football Writer of the Year, Writers Association Player of the Year once, and he also, this is a defunct international championship, the British Home Championship. This is where the home nations, so England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, would play against each other in a sort of like Six Nations rugby equivalent, and he won that 3 times with Scotland. So his playing career, he's played over 800 games as a player. That is an insane amount of games as a player for any era. He takes 2 years out of the game and then goes into management. His first managerial job is with Clyde. He's only there for a couple of months between April and June in 1977. And then Aberdeen snap him up between June and August. So he coaches 1 season with Aberdeen. And then Celtic come a-calling and say, can we have our old captain back to manage us? Which he does in 2 spells. His first spell is in August 78 until May 83. He then is snapped up by Man City, where he gets them promotion from the old 2nd Division to the old 1st Division, which is now the forerunner of today's Premier League, between June 83 and September 86. So he had a decent spell with Celtic, won some trophies, goes to Man City, gets them promotion into what is now the Premier League, which was then the old Division 1. Aston Villa come a-calling. Now, Aston Villa at the time were one of the best clubs in the country. They also had won the European Cup in the early 80s. They were on the top sides in the country at the time. He manages there for a season between September 86 and May 87. And then Celtic come calling again and go, Billy, can we have you back? We want to win some more silverware with you. And he finishes out his managerial career between May 87 and May 91 with Celtic. Now, he coached 654 games as a coach, as a manager. He had a win. He won 346, he drew 140, and he lost 168, which means he has a win percentage of 52.91%. That's pretty good win percentage. As a manager, I'm just looking at the Scottish honours because getting promotion with Man City from the second division to the old first division, he did that. So he got promotion with Man City, and he also was a runner-up with Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup as well. But he won the Scottish League 4 times as a manager, the Scottish Cup 3 times as a manager, and the Scottish League Cup once as a manager. So he was a pretty decent manager as well. And this is at a time when Aberdeen were a pretty solid side as well. They also won the European Cup Winners' Cup under a young Sir Alex Ferguson. And Rangers, Celtic were trading blows as well. So there were several sides winning trophies at the time. Celtic, Aberdeen and Rangers were all swapping trophies at the time. So it was a more competitive league than it has been in the recent years. Did a great job with Man City, bringing them back to the top flight. And Aston Villa, one of the biggest clubs at the time, also managing them. But the honours he had as a player and as a manager, he's a very decorated individual. And of course, it was great sadness that he has passed away. But one thing they could never take away from him is he was the first British captain to lift what is now the Champions League, which was then the European Cup back in 1967 with the Lisbon Lions after defeating Inter Milan 2-1. So he was a one-club man, which is a rarity. And he also went on to manage his hometown club twice. So there you go. There is a brief look at the life and career of Celtic legend Billy McNeill. Thank you very much for watching. This was a subscriber request by one of my subscribers who was a Celtic fan. I do hope you've enjoyed this. I will do some more player and managerial profiles in time, and I'll look at some players who've recently retired and some players who passed away, some greats of the game who played long before my time, and I will have a look at their stats, the clubs they played for, the games they played, the trophies they won, and the accolades they had. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Place your comments below, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.